El Clasico recap. Did the match live up to the hype? Another weekend with missed calls in the Premier League, as well as Ancelotti upset. Find out why right here in this show today, as well as the premiere of the 7-day forecast segment, all right here on A Lonely Guy Talking Football, an A.F.C. Curtis podcast. Ho guys, I'm so excited. It is finally here, my premiere episode of A Lonely Guy Talking Football, an A.F.C. Curtis podcast. For those who don't know me, I am A.F.C. Curtis. I've been doing and covering the Canadian Premier League over the last 2 years now on YouTube with my channel of the same name, A.F.C. Curtis, where I've been covering the Division 1 Soccer League or Football League here in Canada, which is the Canadian Premier League, brand new league. Been bumping, having a lot of fun these last 2 seasons, but I've decided over the course of this long winter to dive into the podcast game. I haven't podcast myself personally in a few years now, something I definitely like doing, and of course I also like talking football in general. I follow other leagues other than the Canadian Premier League, including leagues in Europe, and so that's why I've decided to start off this new podcast here. So thank you guys for joining and listening right here on the premiere episode. Now let's get into it with the big story here, and that is the El Clasico recap. Barcelona losing their second straight La Liga matches, 2 straight matches now in La Liga. They're now sitting 12th in the table in La Liga. Horrible start for Barcelona. I think the entire match, and let's be honest here, the entire match, they didn't look that great. Lionel Messi, he did fine for Lionel Messi standards in the first 60 minutes. About the last, I want to say 30, maybe 20 minutes of that game, I felt like he kind of dissipated and kind of faded away into the match. Ansu Fati, for me, was probably the best player on the pitch for Barcelona over the weekend there in that matchup. He looked good, getting the only goal for Barcelona. They're good youngster. A lot of good young players there. And, Frankie de Jong is another one I really enjoy watching. I think he'll develop into something really good for Barcelona. I think you might even agree with me. But other than that, on the other side of the pitch there, Real Madrid, they didn't look too fantastic, but they did look, to me, through the full 90 minutes, like the better side. You got to be honest. Just think back to the match if you watch the match. Think back to the highlights if you watch the highlights. Real Madrid, for me, and I'm sure, like I said, if you look at the stats, you look at everything, it was kind of 50-50. Maybe it leaned a little bit toward Real Madrid at times, but I thought just the Real Madrid had the better opportunities. Didn't mean they're that much better. It really didn't. I really thought Real Madrid, just both these teams just felt, they just feel this whole El Clasico match for me didn't really live up to the hype anymore, because it just felt like these two teams are kind of shells of their former selves, if that makes sense. I mean, Messi's 33 years old. We all know publicly the last 12 months his big problems here with the league, or with Barcelona, I should say. Wanting to be sold this past summer, never got to be sold. Now he's going to pretty much walk on a free transfer in the next summer, 2021. He hasn't been that great this season. Barcelona, they haven't been too good this season at all. Like I said, sitting 12th in the Liga. That's not good for Barcelona. That's horrible for Barcelona. Real Madrid, they're a bit higher up, but even then, I mean, they just came off of back-to-back losses last weekend, and then on midweek in the Champions League to Donetsk. I mean, both matches, they looked horrible. Both matches, yes, they didn't have Ramos. This one, they did have Ramos back in. And they looked better and more organized because they had their leader in, who Ramos, for me, was one of the best players on the pitch in the weekend's matchup there. Definitely fought hard to win that game for Real Madrid. A lot of people talking, this is pretty funny, about the tug on the Ramos kit. Did you guys see that? It was in the box. It was Jordi Alba there, tugged him, let go, and it was kind of a pretty big tug. I mean, he almost ripped the jersey off of Ramos. Ramos would have had to gone on playing topless the rest of the match. But anyway, Ramos then immediately after the tug and after let go, Ramos then, okay, he does embellish a bit and falls on the ground, getting the penalty in the box there to Alba, getting the PK, getting the goal, which is the go-ahead goal, 2-1, ends up being the game-winning goal there for Real Madrid in the El Clasico. But a lot of people speculating on Twitter, maybe a lot of I don't want to say they're Barca fans particularly, but a lot of people didn't think that was a card. I for sure think that was a penalty. 100% that's a penalty. I mean, he tugged on the jersey. That's a penalty. He did it in the box. That's a penalty. Yes, I know Ramos embellishes, but I mean, hey, that's just a part of the game, unfortunately. And at the end of the day, it's a penalty for me. So that's my opinion on the whole. Was it a penalty? Was it not a penalty? Obviously, it was a crucial moment in that match. Ends up being the game-winning goal there for Real Madrid. Overall, though, these two teams, for me, and maybe you guys feel a bit differently than I do, but I just feel that they're just not, these two teams just aren't that good anymore. I don't know if it's because Ronaldo's not there anymore. You don't have the whole dynamic of Real Madrid versus Barcelona, Messi versus Cristiano Ronaldo. And I mean, he has been gone now for 2 seasons, 2 whole years. But it's just this year, they both seem flat. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know. You could tag me, comment with me on Twitter. Let me know out there. I'm at A.F.C. Curtis there on Twitter if you want to connect with me there. But other than that, guys, let's consult the results from the past 7 days here. So we're going to reach back through time. That's us going in the time machine back 7 days to last Tuesday, the start of the Champions League group stages there. We got Chelsea drawing 0-0 with Sevilla, a snoozer of a match. We have Lazio beating Dortmund 3-1. Immobile getting a goal and an assist. Great name. We got Juve winning 2-0 over Dynamo Kiev. We got Barca beating Ferencvaros 5-1. Probably butchered the name. Sorry about that. We got Manchester United beating PSG 2-1 in that one. Man United really pulled up their socks in that victory without Paul Pogba starting, by the way. So maybe Paul Pogba isn't as good as everybody seems to think Paul Pogba is. We got RB Leipzig 2-0 over Istanbul. Bayern Munich 4-0 over Atletico Madrid. 4-0. That's just them slapping. Oh. There we go. 4 slaps right there. 4-0 win over Atletico Madrid for Bayern. Shakhtar Donetsk beating Real Madrid 3-2. Real Madrid, like I said, just did not play great last week, midweek, in that matchup. Inter Milan drawing Borussia Mönchengladbach 2-2 in that matchup. Manchester City beating Porto 3-1. And Liverpool grinding out a 1-0 clean sheet victory over Ajax. Then we fast forward to Thursday's matches there. We got Europa League action there. AS Roma beating Young Boys 2-1. No, not Young Boys, but the club Young Boys. We got Arsenal beating Rapid Wien 2-1. Bayern Leverkusen just destroying Nice 6-2. Napoli losing 1-0 to Alkmaar. I don't know what happened there with Napoli there. Definitely didn't show up. We got Leicester City 3-0 over Zorya. We got AC Milan 3-1 over Celtic. Fun match. We got Tottenham 3-0 over LASK. And that's a Europa League matchup win right there. Pretty big for them. Moving on now, we go to this past weekend's results in France. We got PSG over Dijon there. 4-0 victory for them. 4-0, another smashing there for PSG in France. It's almost just depressing following the French league and look at the stats when you see PSG just beating everybody 4-0, 5-0. Moise Kean and Mbappe both hitting braces in that one. Marseille beating Lorient 1-0. We got Lille getting a draw against Nice 1-1. And we got Lyon beating Monaco 4-1. Toko Ekambi scoring a brace in that one for Lyon. Now, before we leave France, just a quick peek at the table here. We got PSG now tied with Lille at 18 points atop of the Ligue 1 table. We got Rennes there with 15 points and second with Marseille with 15 points and fourth there. Lyon 6th right now with 13 points in France. So PSG, man, started from the bottom. Now they're there. Then they lose the first 2 matches in Ligue 1. Well, now they're winning 6 straight there. Just like I said, just destroying the competition there. It's frightful. It's frightful. Halloween's coming up, and this is some frightful, scary stuff right here. Next up here in Germany, we got Bayern Munich smashing Eintracht Frankfurt. Can't even pronounce it right now. 5-0. Lewandowski scoring a hat-trick. You might have heard of him. He's pretty good. RB Leipzig beating Hertha Berlin 2-1 in that matchup. Borussia Dortmund beating rivals Schalke 3-0 in that one. Not as great of a derby as past years for sure. Borussia Dortmund, though, handling their business professionally in that win. Looking out the table here in Germany, just before we move on here, we got RB Leipzig sitting on top of the Bundesliga table. Still haven't lost a match in the Bundesliga action. They're 13 points in 5 games. We got second place Bayern Munich, 12 points. Third place Borussia Dortmund, 12 points. And Bayer Leverkusen in fourth there with 9 points, making it a bit of an interesting race early on here in Germany. We move on next here to Italy as we got Sampdoria beating Atalanta 3-1 in that matchup. Inter Milan beating Genoa 2-0. Lazio beating Bologna 2-1. Immobile scores a goal, which makes him the second highest scorer in Lazio history there. So congratulations, Immobile. Ciro Immobile, fantastic name, fantastic goal scorer, prime at 30 years old. This guy's a baller. We got Napoli getting back in the win column, beating Benevento 2-1. We got Hellas Verona drawing 1-1 with Juventus there. Pirlo's squad there, minus Ronaldo, doesn't look too hot right now. I mean, Serie A in Italy right now, cracked wide open right now this season. Anyone can win that title, I think, right now. And then to complete the weekend there on Monday, we had AS Roma getting a draw against AC Milan 3-3. And that one ending Milan's winning streak in Serie A. Ibra there scores a brace. The guy's 39 years old, and the guy's just been scoring like crazy in the return since returning from the COVID break. AC Milan right now, I think, is one of the hottest teams in world football. 100%, they're one of the hottest teams. I wouldn't say they're the best team. I think that's Super Bayern Munich, but AC Milan definitely is top 10 clubs right now in the world in world football. Looking at now the table in Serie A in Italy, we got AC Milan, the hottest team right now in Italy. 13 points, 4 wins, 1 draw through 5 matches. Top of the Serie A table. Napoli, 11 points, sitting in second. Sassuolo with 11 points as well, sitting in third. Inter Milan, 10 points in fourth. And Juventus, 9 points in fifth. We got Atalanta in sixth with 9 points. And Roma with 8 points all the way down in ninth. Right now, Lazio, they're in 12th with 7 points. So those are just the big clubs in the Serie A table. Next in Spain for the big results there, we got Real Madrid beating, of course, Barcelona 3-1. We talked about that at the top of the show here in the El Clasico. We got Sevilla losing 1-0 to Eibar. And then finally, Atletico Madrid winning 2-0 over Real Betis. So Luis Suarez, remember him, the guy who Barca pretty much just threw away, ends up scoring yet again for Atletico Madrid. So looking pretty good in a Madrid kit, I must say, though. Looking at that table there in Spain and La Liga, we got Real Sociedad, who picked up the win this past weekend as well. They're sitting atop nice and pretty with 14 points through 7 matches. With the match in hand behind them in second is Real Madrid with 13 points. And this is how we're in a backwards world right now. With COVID and everything happened, we're in a backwards world because in third place is Granada, 13 points. Villarreal in fourth place with 12 points. Atletico Madrid with 11 points in fifth place. Barcelona, the team with the best player probably ever to play the game, Lionel Messi there, sitting with 7 points in 12th place right now. That is something else. That is how you know we're in bizarro world right now. We're in an alternate universe. Okay. Now moving to England to wrap up the weekend recap. Here we got Manchester City getting a draw 1-1 to West Ham United. Liverpool beating Sheffield United 2-1. Had another big squeak out of a win there for Liverpool. Really had to work for that one. Southampton stunning Everton, who were top of the table by themselves, beating them 2-0 in that matchup there. And Leicester City 1-0 over Arsenal in a crazy matchup there. Tottenham beating Burnley 1-0. And then, of course, we got Manchester United versus Chelsea. The big rivalry on the weekend ends in a goalless 0-0 draw there. Not too exciting until the very end in that one. What is exciting, though, in England is the table right now in the Premier League. Crazy stuff. Manchester United right now, 7 points, sitting in 15th place in the table. Arsenal, 9 points, sitting in 11th. Chelsea with 9 points, sitting in 10th. Other big clubs here, we have Tottenham in 5th place with 11 points, so it's still pretty tight. Leicester City in 4th with 12 points. Aston Villa, this is the 1990s all of a sudden because Aston Villa is in the top 4. They're sitting there with 12 points in 3rd. Liverpool with 13 points in 2nd, tied with 1st place with 13 points. Everton, who ends up getting their first loss, as they're also a pretty hot team right now. They got their first loss here in league action on the weekend against Southampton. Pretty crazy stuff there. But we move on now to our next segment of the show where I want to talk about missed calls. Now, when you hear missed calls, and I'm sure you're probably thinking of 2 incidents, both in the Premier League, because the Premier League reffing has just been atrocious, to say the least, this year. We have in the Premier League, Harry Maguire. I'm sure you've heard of him. He's one of the most expensive defender in the world right now, which is shambles, because he's been shambles for Manchester United this season. Putting on a Kimura lock on Chelsea defender Zappaleta there. Grabbing Chelsea defender Cesar Azpilicueta there with a Kimura lock. I mean, literally, this guy is Maguire in the UFC. How is that not a red card? It was in the box. How is that not a red card? And I believe even the refs, after the game, I read somewhere that the refs even looked at VAR and they didn't decide to call it afterwards either. They're not going to give them a red card for that. Like, are you kidding me? The guy goes, puts a UFC move on a defender in the box, and you don't even call it. This is ridiculous. The other missed call, I'm sure, that I definitely want to put my opinion out there on, was the Jordan Pickford move. Jordan Pickford last week did a death kick. A death kick is what I want to call it, in the box. Trying to clear the ball. Virgil van Dijk, Liverpool defender, tried to get the ball. You got Pickford comes out, death kicks Virgil van Dijk's leg. Now he's out with a damaged ACL for the rest of the season. He's out for the Euros in 2021. He's out for who knows how long, or at least probably till next season. And not only that, you can damage a player's career with that. It was a bad move by both players, Maguire and Pickford in his last 2 weekends cases. Both players should have gotten reds. Both calls are missed. Jordan Pickford should be in prison for 10 years for the stuff that he did. No, you know what? No, that's okay. Maybe that's a bit too far. Maybe he shouldn't be in prison. But I mean, still, a red card. I think a 2 or 3 game suspension, but for sure at least a red card for what he did. I mean, he could have just ended Virgil van Dijk's best years of his life right there. So, but two missed calls there, which I think is ridiculous to say the least. They need to clean this stuff up. They got VAR, which should be assisting the refs in calls. They don't get in calls. Now you got Carlo Ancelotti because they didn't clear up the calls last 2 weekends. Now we got Ancelotti who's coming out on the media after this past weekend because Lucas Digne there on Everton got a red card against Southampton there, which was a clear red in my opinion as well, because he goes and he takes his boot and steps on Southampton's player, the back heel of the boot, gets stuck in that boot. Could have injured the guy, could have hurt his Achilles or ankle of the Southampton player. Forgive me, I can't remember the name of the Southampton player. But ridiculous. Gets a red card. Okay, fair. But then after the match, you got Ancelotti coming out saying it doesn't deserve to be a red. He also believes that this red is kind of payback for not giving a red for Pickford last weekend. No, it's not. Carlo Ancelotti, you're crazy. I cannot believe this. Ridiculousness, though. I mean, just bad reffing all around. It's really sad to say, but I don't know. Maybe they need glasses, contacts. I don't know, because they're not seeing the stuff. They're not seeing the stuff out there. Poor reffing, for sure. But we're going to end the show pretty soon here. Great. It's been a fun debut show. Nothing but rants and complaints. But before we end the show here, I want to debut a new segment here on my debut show, of course, and that's the 7-day forecast, where I'm going to forecast the next 7 days of football matches and give you one match, the best match I think you should watch in the next 7 days. One on Tuesday, one on Wednesday, and so on and so forth. So let's start here. Tuesday, October 27th. Here we got Champions League action. My match that I think you guys should watch tomorrow, or today, I guess, is when the day of the podcast here drops, October 27th. But the Champions League matchup here is Atalanta versus Ajax. This match you guys should definitely watch. Ajax and Atalanta both losing in their first Champions League matches this year, so they're both going to want to get a win here to get the 3 points in the group stage. Going to be a fun match. Atalanta right now is kind of like the hipster club everybody wants to jump on, because they're the little engine that could. They're fun to watch. They're getting goals. They're scoring goals. Ajax, of course, is always that hipster club. So it's about all the hipster clubs here on Tuesday, 27th of October. Move over to Wednesday, October 28th. Another Champions League matchup here for my pick of the day. It's Barcelona versus Juventus. Yes, I know Cristiano Ronaldo will not be in the game due to COVID-19 test. Was it last week again, coming through and saying that he's still positive for COVID-19. But you still have Juve, you still have Barcelona, two of, on paper, the best clubs in the world. Now, they might not be playing like the best clubs in the world, but that's why this is going to be a fun match, because there's going to be mistakes made and there's going to be goals scored. And I would put money on Messi scoring at least one goal, and maybe even Ansu Fati, because that guy's red hot right now. Move over to Thursday, October 29th. We got Europa League action I'm going to talk about here. Real Sociedad versus Napoli. That is the match to watch there on Thursday. Again, Real Sociedad, by the way, guys, sitting top of the La Liga table. So why not watch this matchup there? It's going to be a fun one against Napoli, who aren't too bad themselves with some talented players there. Friday, October 30th here, to coming into the weekend, we got Wolves versus Crystal Palace. This is a 9th place Wolves versus an 8th place Crystal Palace. So you know this is going to be a tight match and a good match. Wolves haven't been too dominant this year, which has been kind of weird, because last 2 years you felt like they were progressing. They're going to push potentially for, a 5th, 6th place finish this year. Crystal Palace, a team that I thought was probably going to get demoted, to be honest with you, relegated, I should say. Looking pretty decent out of the gate here early in the season. Moving over to Saturday, October 31st, Halloween, my favorite day of the year. We got Bundesliga action there for this day's match that you should watch. It's Borussia Mönchengladbach versus RB Leipzig. 6th place Borussia Mönchengladbach versus 1st place RB Leipzig. So this one's going to be a big match here on Saturday. Of all the matches Saturday to watch, this is the one to watch right here. Going to be fun, filled action for sure. RB Leipzig, like I said earlier in the show, looking at the table there, have yet to lose in Bundesliga action. Is this the day? Moving on to Sunday, November 1st here, opening up the new month with a Premier League game here, Manchester United versus Arsenal. Let's relive the late 90s, early 2000s, folks. I know those two fan bases and supporter groups would love to. But yes, Manchester United versus Arsenal, two clubs kind of going through a bit of a rebuild coming into this season, kind of trying to find their ways back into a top 4 spots and to be title contenders again. But this is going to be a fun match. Again, a lot of good players, got young players that are going to get minutes from both sides in this matchup. Do I think Paul Pogba is going to start in this matchup? Nope. And I think Manchester United are going to be better for it. Now moving on to and ending off the 7-day forecast with Monday, November 2nd. That's Leeds United versus Leicester City, another Premier League game. That is my pick for Monday, November 2nd for you guys to watch. Going to be a good match. You got Leeds United, a team that's just high-flying offense. You got Leicester City, a team that's got Jamie Vardy, the guy who just seems to score and live on Monster, or what was it, Red Bull, energy drinks, whatever energy drinks he lives on. So high pace, high goal scoring with that guy right there. So this is going to be an offensive matchup to watch for sure. Leeds United, Leicester City, Monday, November 2nd. So that completes our 7-day forecast, guys. And that completes the show. But before I go, I want to end it on a high note with you guys, a fun note here with my football pun of the day. And my football pun of the day, because we got Halloween coming up this weekend, here's a good one for you. What is a ghost's favorite football position? I'll give you a second just to wait for that. Okay, I'll tell you now. It is a goalkeeper. That's right, a goalkeeper. That is your football pun of the day here, of the week here. Yes, I will let you use this. To be honest with you, I just found it on Google, but it's a pretty funny one, and with Halloween coming up, why not? Anyways, guys, thank you for listening to my premiere show. I hope you guys liked it. If you guys have any comments or anything, let me know on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. You can find me at A.F.C. Curtis on any of those. You can listen to my show on YouTube, on my YouTube channel with the same name, A.F.C. Curtis. You can find this show, A Lonely Guy Talking Football, on Stitcher, Spotify, and Anchor, and coming soon to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and more. Other than that, guys, happy Halloween. Stay safe this weekend, and we'll see you guys next Tuesday.